Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It's actually Monday, but I'm going to say that it's Tuesday, June the 10th, 2025, although I'm actually recording this on Monday. This is my world building notebook, which is basically a sketchbook, but I'm using it as a notebook. Yesterday, quote unquote, yesterday's video was about my actual sketchbook, which is this one. So in here, this is for not necessarily world building, although it can be, but it's not specifically for that. It was specifically for making videos for the channel. However, in here, in the world building notebook, so I'll put this in world building, the playlist, it is specifically for world building, although it doesn't have to be canonical, so to speak. It should have to do with the project, which right now I'm calling it, the code name is Project D. So I've been doing this for several weeks now, but I don't want to show all the work in progress stuff because part of it is obviously just spoiler stuff. And I honestly don't think that kind of stuff is that interesting to anyone else. And on top of that, it's still a work in progress. So it's still going to go through these changes and stuff. So I don't want to influence myself into keeping it. So what I've been doing, I just wanted to share this process that I've been doing that I like. For one page, I've been using it for the whole week. So I'll just put, and I like using this ballpoint pen. I put the week, so this is week 24, I think. So I usually just put the week. Today is Monday, but yeah, I'm gonna publish this on Tuesday because there is some sketching, so that's why. It's the 9th. So what I do is, so I collect ideas either on my phone, so I have notes on my phone. Also, whenever I was working at at different jobs, I would have a notepad and I would just jot down ideas specifically for the story ideas, a notepad. And then at some point I would transfer it, and so basically I would have transferred it to something like this. My routine is a little different these days, so I don't need the notepad as much and stuff like that, but that's a good useful thing to do. So usually I just use my phone, in other words. So for example, I'll look over my notes on my phone because that's usually when ideas pop into my head. And so I would put so the project is called Project D, so I don't mind talking about that. At some point I'll talk about it more. And like I said in my other sketchbook, I do have characters and stuff in there, but for my sketchbook, I don't make it specifically for that. So I'll put something like Project D, and then I'll put ideas, and I'll transfer the notes that I have. That way I don't have to. So initially I would just sit down and try to come up with stuff. One, it's kind of boring, and then two, that's too much pressure. So it could be, so I have a running list, and sometimes it'll just be, I'm just adding on to the previous day's notes, for example. Yeah, it could be something about the plot. It could be something about the world, etc. This is just an example. So that's one thing that I do as far as the story. And yeah, I just keep it on one page, and it's just been working out pretty good. And partly because this is a blank sketchbook. And then the next thing that I do is I make sure that I sketch for a little bit. I mentioned that I've been keeping a 1-minute timer. I'm just going to sketch so I'll start a timer. That's usually what I do. So I'll start a 5-minute timer because I've already done some talking. But yeah, I'll use a 1-minute timer if that's usually what I, I'll write down notes and stuff and then just sketch for a minute just so I can know. Because I just have a thing where if I feel pressured to do something, I'm going to resist. Now, at different jobs, I made myself do it because I felt like I had to, which I guess sometimes you're kind of in that situation. But I can't lie to myself with this, with my own personal project, although it is important, but it's it's just something psychological where I can't just, it's an extrinsic thing. But yeah, that's a whole nother topic. So I'll set a timer, for example, like I just did. I set a 5-minute timer. and just start sketching some things. And sometimes the ideas will come from like the notes that I took. So yeah, sometimes it's like a visual thing, and sometimes it's like a verbal thing, like a language kind of thing, and then sometimes the images, it's like a image thing. So yeah, that's pretty much how this works. The main thing is that it needs to be like specific to the world building. Now the reason that I do this is because, for example, the tough part initially was sketching in the first place, and so it didn't really matter like what I sketched. So in some of my sketchbooks, it was just like as long as I sketched anything, because that was like the block was just sketching anything. But then over time, like I was able to get over that, and so that's what the channel, like, it helped me to get over sketching, so I can do that pretty easily. But then the next thing would be to sit down and work on like the world building. Like I found resistance there, and so I'm using the same strategy like with this, where I'll just do it for like a minute. In this case, I'm doing it for like 5 minutes, which is alright. But as soon as I feel like that resistance, instead of trying to force myself to do it, like there's that saying of what you resist like persists. And I mean, I find that that's pretty true. Like I will find a way to not do it. Like, yeah, I'm just tired of like fighting myself. So I do it for like a minute. And what happens is that by doing it this way, just seeing this, to overcome like the motivation aspect of it. So I made it into like a system or like a game or like a habit or whatever. It's not really a habit, because if it were a habit, I would just do it. Like a habit is basically how I sketch is a habit. I don't have a habit of doing this, and so I have to make it into like some kind of game. And it doesn't work like 100%, so that's why I give myself like a minute just to do it for like a minute. It has to do with the fact that, I mean, it has to do with stuff like perfectionism and all of that, but like it also has to do with the idea of it's such a big project and I don't see the end, so there's going to be resistance to that. So I have about like a minute left. Sometimes I'll sketch like kind of characters, so it could be, again, it's more of a specific kind of thing, and I just give myself like a minute, because otherwise I'll start to stress out about it, like, because I won't know like I won't know like what they look like and stuff. So I just give myself a minute to just doodle something. But what happens is that it starts to become something like that's, and then you start to have like your own motivation. But that's mainly what I wanted to go over. And this is the kind of stuff that I do talk about world building on the channel, but this is the kind of stuff that to me is still private. Like, I guess you could say it's personal, but I guess it's still a work in progress, and it's still like private, if you want to call it that. But like it's still incubating or germinating. And usually what happens is that I'll keep wanting to work on it. So yeah, that's what I wanted to go over today. I want to thank you for joining me for our daily sketching routine. And if you enjoy these videos, please support the channel. I appreciate it. And until next time, keep on sketching.